Hi one and all, welcome to my YouTube channel Hemant Chipagiri. This is my first video and I want to make the first video on the background for the program. First of all, we learn what is programming. As we all know, we have different programming languages like C, C++, Java, Python, etc. and etc. Generally, what is programming? Before talking programming in the concept of the system, let us talk about the programming in our daily life language. What is a program? Program. If we arrange a program, what we do generally, firstly, we'll understand the basic requirements of the program and we make certain sequence in order the steps of the program and we execute the program. Once again I repeat, what we do for a program. Firstly, we understand the basic requirements of the program. We arrange the sequence in order which the program must flow, and finally we conduct the program. Now, keeping this scenario in mind, let us take the concept of a system. What is a program? As similarly said by there, program is nothing but a sequential order of steps which are called as instructions that are given to the system in order to certain tasks to be happened. Like, in order to make you a better understanding, now if you want to drink a glass of water, what we generally do? Firstly, we take a glass, we fill the water and we drink. So the execution flow is taking a glass, filling the water and drinking. So similarly, programming is nothing but the sequential order of the steps. The sequential order of steps in computer terminology is called as instruction. Why we are passing these instructions? In order to make a certain task to be done. So this is programming. Okay, now we got about what is programming. Okay, how can we write the programs? There must be a language for the program, right? Unfortunately, our systems cannot understand the normal communication languages such as English, Spanish, Germany, etc. So, we need to find out a language which systems understand in order to get our task done. So, we have introduced a language called binary language. Fortunately, system very easily understands the binary language which consists of only zeros and ones. Once again I repeat, binary language is a language which is easily understood by the system which consists of zeros and ones. Okay. Now let us understand how these instructions are passed to the system. So before going to that, let us understand generally what is a computer. Now all of us say that a computer is an electronic device which consists of several parts such as monitor, speaker, mouse, keyboard, etc. Out of all these, there is a part of computer which is called as central processing unit, which is called as heart of the system. Without the central processing unit, simplifiedly called as CPU, system doesn't work. Now, let us go in detail of the central processing unit. Generally, central processing unit has three units, which are arithmetic logical unit, control unit, and memory unit. Arithmetic logical unit. As the name says, arithmetic logical unit. Before going into the arithmetic logical unit, generally all of us do calculations using some basic binary operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. Sometimes we will not be able to do higher calculations through manually. Then we use the calculators which are present in our systems or mobiles and etc. Have you ever wondered how system calculates larger calculations within a span of seconds? This is because of the ALU, Arithmetical Logical Unit, receives the instructions in the form of binary language and returns the output which we have given as an input. Okay, now let us go to the second unit of the CPU, which is control unit. Before going into the control unit, generally we talk about what is a control. What is control? Generally, we are being controlled in doing some actions like better scenario. How can the control unit decide? Okay, let us take an example of a traffic police. Consider the traffic as a number of sequence of processes entering into the central processing unit. Now don't think what is a process. Generally, process is a collection of instructions which are given as an input to the system. Now, once again I repeat, process is a collection of instructions which are written by us in order to a task to be done. Now, if a number of processes are entering the central processing unit from different sources, in order to protect the central processing unit from damage, the control unit plays its vital role. The control unit controls the execution flow of the processes and it makes the central processing unit to do its work without any hassle and strain. Okay, now let us go to the third part, which is memory unit. Before going to the memory unit, let's talk about the memory. Every person has his or her own memory. What does our memory do? We store a number of things which we see, hear, or listen, etc. in our brain. Similar to that of the brain, here the memory unit does the same work. Here the memory unit stores all the information such as data, files, videos, audios, images, documents, etc. in the memory of the system. So now the memory unit generally is divided into two types, that is random access memory, which is called as RAM, another is read-only memory, which is ROM. Random access memory is called as the main memory of the system. That means all the information is stored in random access memory. And random access memory is a volatile memory. What does volatile means? If the work which we have done is not saved, then random access memory cannot save it. So random access memory is called as volatile memory. And Wrong. Read-only memory. Read-only memory is we can say it as a secondary memory. That means random access read-only memory is non-volatile memory. That means it can store the data for a longer time. The best examples of read-only memory are hard disk, pen drive, etc. Okay, this is the basic background of the computer and the central processing unit. Now, let us go for the basic concept called operating system. What is an operating system? As the name suggests, the operating system, it is a software which acts as a bridge between the input devices of the system and the output devices of the system. Now, basically let us understand what are the input devices of the system. The basic input devices of the systems are the keyboard, the mouse, the scanner, etc. The basic output devices are printer. The best example for it is printer. Okay. Now, the operating system, we set it as a software. Generally, what is the software? The software is set of instructions. Generally, these softwares are also done using the programming languages. So, as it is a software, it plays a bridge role in connecting the input devices and output devices of the system. This is a basic understanding of the operating system. Now let us go to some of the terms which will be helpful for our programming. Basically, let us talk about assembler. What is an assembler? Generally, before talking it in the computer language, let us talk in our natural language. What is an assembly? Generally, assemble is said as an we assemble the things in an order, right? So, similar to that object, assembler also plays the role of assembling the files which consist of the programming code which we have written in order they have to be executed. That means assembler assembles the files in an order in which they have to be executed. Okay. Now let us talk about the concept of a linker. Before talking it in a computer language, let us understand in the natural language. What is a link? Generally, the best link we use is www.google.com. It is a link. When we type the link, it takes from our present location to the Google browser, and from there we browse the necessary things we want. So, linker, I think now you must have been understood what is a linker. Linker is nothing but it links the things. Okay, let me make it more clear. Suppose let us take the concept of GTA Vice City game, which all of us have been played. In that, the person has number of actions like jumping, shooting, driving, fighting, swimming, etc. So let us consider all these actions as different files. Now, now you think what is a file? Generally, file is something but which consists of some information. So, in order to the person to do the action simultaneously in the game, these steps must have been linked. So, as we thought that these actions are written in different files, they have to be linked, right? So, linker now links all the actions which are written in different files to one another. Okay, so the linker also plays the role of linking the files with one another in order to make it into a single unit. Okay, now, okay, now let us consider that all the files have been assembled and linked. In order to make these files as an executable files, they have to be executed. How can we execute the files without they being placed in the main memory of the system? Now comes the concept of loader. Loader loads all the files which are linked by the linker into the random access memory, which is called as the main memory of the system, and from there the central processing unit executes these files and makes them as the executable files. Okay, so concluding my session, what we have discussed? We have discussed the background of programming. Firstly, we talked about what is a programming. Generally, a programming is it as the set of instructions which have been given to complete a task, right? So, in order to make the task done, we need a language to communicate with the system. The language we use to communicate to the system is binary language. The language, what is a binary language? Binary language is a system understandable language which consists of zeros and ones. Okay, now in order to understand some terms, we need to understand some basic parts of the central processing unit, which is the heart of the system. Central processing unit consists of three units, which are arithmetical logical unit, control unit, and memory unit. Arithmetical logical unit is responsible for all the calculations of inputs, expressions, etc., which are given to the system as an input. Control unit plays the role of controlling the execution of the instructions. Memory unit. Memory unit plays the role of storing the data in the system. The memory unit consists of two parts, which is random access memory and read-only memory. Random access memory is shortened as RAM and read-only memory is shortened as ROM. RAM is the main memory of the system. It is a volatile system. It is a volatile memory. Why it is volatile memory? Because it doesn't store the work for the long time. Read-only memory is a secondary memory. It stores the information for the long time. It is called as non-volatile memory. The best example is the pen drive and hard disk. Now, after that, we talked about the operating system. Operating system is a software. The software generally consists of the instructions which are given as an programming languages. So the operating system being a software, it plays the role of a bridge connecting the input and output devices. As all of us know, the input and output devices of the system. The operating system connects the input and output devices of the system. Now let us talk about some terms which will be beneficial for us. Firstly, we talk about an assembler. Assembler plays the role of assembling the files in the order of the execution. And next comes the linker. Linker generally links all the files to one another to make it into a single file. All the files linked by the linker are loaded into the main memory of the system by the loader. And now, once they are loaded into the random access memory, they are executed and they become the executable files. Thank you for watching my video. If you like this video, please like it.